The nation's leader says government remains confident in the country's growth going forward.
Minister of Finance, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Christie, addressed the recent ratings by international credit rating agencies Standard & Poor's and Moody's in the House of Assembly this morning. Prime Minister Christie says it is important to put both ratings in context in order to gain the true value of where the country is and where it will go.
Clint Watson leads us off tonight with this report from Parliament.
Minister of Finance, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Christie, putting into context reviews by international credit rating agencies while criticizing one of them for its position. Standard & Poor's came out first, lowering the country's credit rating by one notch to BBB negative, although still remaining at investment grade. Moody's later announced that it was maintaining the country's rating and maintaining a stable outlook. The economic outlooks by both were also lowered. Standard & Poor's leaned heavily on the Bahamar debacle and the hotel not opening on its decision, going as far as to say by next year it would affect the GDP per capita of the country, resulting in no growth over the next few years in the country.
Such a downbeat assessment simply does not match up to reality. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, it also flies in the face of some of the evidence that S&P itself presents in their report.
And while both agencies use the ongoing issue with Bahamar as a major reason for their decisions, Mr. Christie still remains optimistic things will change soon. The government over the past 3 years has been working to implement critical reforms to both the expenditure and revenue sides of the country's finances. He says a comprehensive plan to lower the deficit has been working and was even acknowledged in detail by Standard & Poor's.
It is most unfortunate in our view that S&P failed to fully and properly account for the government's proactive and dynamic growth agenda in its analysis to the same extent, Mr. Speaker, that it acknowledged the success of our fiscal plan.
Referring to a report recently released by CIBC World Economic Markets on the Bahamas, also reaffirmed his government's view
that our economic recovery continues and will be buttressed by the ongoing strong recovery in the United States of America. CIBC World Markets also concluded that the pace of tourism activity has picked up and should continue to grow. They cite the decline in the national rate of unemployment to 12%. In their own words, and I quote, "The Bahamas appears to be moving in the right direction," end quote.
He claims Moody's acknowledged the Bahamas as an attractive place for investment and noted that despite the Bahamar impasse, once the hotel opens, they predicted economic growth within 2 years, while also commending the government on its fiscal reform.
Mr. Speaker, in their estimation, the Bahamas government scores their words, and I quote, "very high," end quote, rating in terms of institutional strength, as we score favorably on the World Bank's governance indicators. According to these indicators of the World Bank, we have a strong track record in respect of policy predictability, transparency, and sound macroeconomic policy.
The Prime Minister says the government is aware of what must be done to stabilize and further strengthen the economy as outlined by the rating agencies. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.